Hello everyone, welcome to my channel here. I'm Renki. So today I'm gonna be talking about a topic that is of quite interest of mine. It's about demographics, decline of fertility rates. It's a pretty sort of a self-explanatory topic. Fertility rates are quite down worldwide, and this is really contrary of what many people said about 80 years ago, 70 years ago-ish, that we are in trouble, we're having overpopulation and that sort of stuff. But this is a topic of uttermost importance because, around the world, the average number of children per woman has plummeted from like 4.9 in the 1950s to just about like 2.2, 2.3-ish in those recent years. We're likely gonna be going down the replacement level soon in the upcoming decades. So it sucks. This is a really important topic because what is gonna happen if we have a large population? Many would think, oh, it's great, less cheaper housing, cheaper things, and more jobs, that kind of stuff. But you have to also consider that people are also living longer. There are more demands for elderly care, social services, pensions, and who is footing the bill? Not the government, the taxpayer. Unless you want to keep borrowing, but the money will just keep going down. I mean, the government borrowing the money, but this will just lead to inflation, and you know what's going to happen after that. And what is also going to happen is also going to have less people means less innovation, less progress, less advancements on the climate things, like alternate sort of energies, the sort of things that many people, young people talk about. Less ideas, less geniuses, less people to keep up the infrastructure, less workforce, less everything. So it also means less people to pay the taxes, to pay for the services, and it also means a bigger elderly population that's just gonna keep go taking a higher and higher bracket of the taxpayer dollar, and this will just keep going into that part, and they will mostly hold the voting power because they will take a bigger chunk of the population that's able to vote if there's keep having less and less kids. And what is gonna be happening just it's terrible all over. And this is a topic that have been trying to reach many people, politicians, professors, influencers, people that are interested on that. I believe that I, I could share some. I believe I have some ideas that could really help to progress that. Some studies, some advancements, some apply results on that. But of course, that I don't really expect anyone to answer that. But I hope this video will just raise more awareness on this topic. So what is happening there? Just the fertility rates are in free fall, in the entire world. Wealthier nations, what is happening? More women going in education, workforce, more participation leads to delayed marriages, fewer kids, and more focus on the career. It's just more urbanization, housing in the urban areas is just also terrible to raise kids. Costs, well, costs, yes, but people like to say costs about that. I'm just gonna be a bit pedantic on this part because a lot of people blame costs on people having less kids, but you see a lot of countries that have more manageable cost of living, even having even lower kids than than countries like United States. So it's quite interesting that a lot of people have topics cost because I understand it's just when everything seems expensive, it's just kind of you're kind of you know, struggle there economic, like how can I sustain myself and even have kids and etc etc etc. But I don't even think, but kids were actually never in the mind of those people. Like they were just no, just no. It's it's just that this is not a reason that people are not having kids. Costs can be a factor, but it's not the main factor. It's just if you had more money, would you really want to have kids, or would you really just mostly just spend on yourself, spend on holidays, vacations, trips, hobbies, personal things, clothes, treatments, experiences. Many people would just rather do that than getting married, having kids, raising a family, because of course this is a really drastic change. But to understand that, just many people just would rather just say that's costs because this is just more a defensible position. It's just a more acceptable position because nobody's gonna say I don't want to have kids because I don't wanna. That's it. Just it's just people are just changing from traditional things. Having kids is just being seen as less desirable compared to many other things. It's just when you open that kind of options, and now you have more focus, more pressures on on having to do that thing instead of going through the traditional route of having kids or having family. It's just this is what is happening there. But I digress. This topic of fertility rates is just not a new thing. It has there were civilizations back then that had things about fertility rate that just they, that they were struggling with fertility rates too, and many of those reasons they mirror the contemporary reasons for that. So look at that. Take for example the Roman Empire. The elites, even the middle class birth rates, they tanked. Civil wars wiped a lot of Romans. Lavish lifestyles for the elites. So they spend, socialize, etc. That sort of things, and they don't want to have the and having big families it would suck for that. It would be like a financial drag, and they would didn't want to have did you want to give up on those things, or they don't want that reduced, or not even factor give up on that thing. It's just they don't want to have that reduced. They just want to consume experience. This is just mirroring what is happening right now, and where is the Roman civilization right now? Just gone. And what happens is that like let more freedom to choose. Women were getting more educated. They, like those elite women wanted to more socializing more, wanted more education, more freedom, not just having kids and this sort of stuff. And what happened? It's a shift on social social cultural thing. They wanted more that kind of extravagant lifestyle. So it's just also the arranged marriage thing. It just dropped by a lot if you compare to before. arranged marriage were quite a norm. They were married for political reasons, friends, economic reasons, etc. But now, like each one wanted to choose by themselves. They wanted freedom and to choose by themselves. And what happens when you do that? Just some people start getting a little more picky because you have a market, you have a choice. So you start getting more picky than just conforming with what your parents or friends suggested or picked up for you. And the results of that, what led to, and what happened, the results of that, some emperors just started looking at that, realizing, oh, this is terrible. Our population is going to decline. We're not going to have enough military. We're not going to have enough people paying taxes. So an emperor, like starting from Augustus, he just started doing a lot of reforms, a lot of laws. He passed. If we started with like the Lex Julia de Maritandis Ordinibus. So what this law essentially did was he penalized single single people and childless couples, and he rewarded parents by like tax breaks, some benefits, etc. And then he even doubled down with Lex Papia Popea to increase, even more strict on that. But he got so strict on the punishments. It's like he got more penalties, fines for childless couples and that sort of things, that just a lot of people protested, and he had to dial back a little bit. And then further emperors, for example, like Nerva, Trajan, they had the Alimenta program for a state-funded subsidy for poorer families to feed and educate kids. So it would help like families raising the kids and sort of stuff. But did it do an effect? Did it change much on that? Mixed results. But it wasn't enough in the end. It really didn't change the social cultural aspect, which was the main reason why people weren't having kids, because of that lifestyle, because of what they were doing, because of those things. So it just ended up not really working, because you are just doing up. You're just rewarding people with economic incentives. Sure, that can help a little bit, like in Hungary, that, like for example, Hungary has just giving a lot of tax breaks, benefits, and that sort of stuff, loans, a lot of things. They're spending like 5% of the GDP on fertility rate things, raise the fertility rate, but they had mixed results. Like they were going back in 2011, I think, aroundish. They were like at 1.1 or 1.2 ish, and then by 2018, 2019, they were like by 1.5 ish, 1.55 ish, and around that, but started tumbling again. Like it's just, despite spending like 5% of the GDP on that, it just on the tax rate and that sort of thing. So it sort of mirrors that what is what governments are trying now, and and in the past, and look at where it led to. It's just, I mean, I don't blame them for trying, but it's just that they're doing something that just has been sort of tried before back in the Roman Empire, but it didn't really lead to the results that were desired. And you also really have very countries that have very beneficious benef- you have countries like Finland that have like very generous maternity paternity leave, a lot of childcare issues, a lot of things. But the fertility rate is much lower than United States, and it's getting to the level of Japan too. So it's, and they have a really better work balance than many countries. And if you compare Israel, the Israel has, it's just they want the punching above their weight, has like a middling to bad work-life balance. The the benefits are there, like IVF and the sort of, some assistances are there in Israel, but arguably is Finland has more economic benefits on those things, but the 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 natalism, the familial, the culture, it's there in Israel for that, for to raising families, that more traditional thing. Just can't think, people can't think of not having kids. Just a common thing in society. So this is an issue that is you have to really take a look at, because it is a it is a thing that, of course, that financial benefits help, but economic benefits and that sort of stuff can help, but you're not gonna steer the ship into the direction that you want exactly with that, because you're not tackling the main thing, which is this social cultural thing. And of course I understand that it's gonna be harder, and many people are gonna say, oh yeah, the money thing. And but if you had more money, you would likely just spend on yourself, on the hobbies, on that sort of thing. It's just an opportunity cost. You have so many choices. Why you're gonna choose having kids right now? It's just, I mean, an idea for many people navigating the society nowadays. Just why are having kids? What benefits gonna bring to them? I mean, they don't know what being a parent is and that sort of things, but it's just not appetizing, and there's a lot of scorn, and just like scorn on mothers, on, on stay-home mothers, on single income, but or that sort of things, on many things. It's just there is like a sort of a taboo. It's terrible. It's terrible nowadays for the environment for this. So it sucks, but in any case, it's kind of interesting that the nowadays fertility rate issues sort of a mirror Rome's ancient Rome, like the late Roman Empire things, the delays, some economic barriers, but some wars. Well, we can swap wars with like tensions, pessimism overall. That it also plays on that, because if people are not really invested in the future, and people really just adopting a nihilistic view, just we're not gonna go reach anything. You have to just be more optimistic. It's just terrible nowadays. It's just, anyways. There are a lot of things that I have to unpack on here, but this is just the first video on a series, on a segment. I will keep posting about this. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you make sure to leave a comment. I'll try to look at it and answer in good faith. Please also make your questions in good faith. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy your day.